Am I the a-hole for telling my friend that my sister cheated on her ex and he totally lost interest? My 25 male 23-year-old sister Katie just moved to the same city I live in, which is not our hometown. We get along pretty well, but something that's always kinda annoyed me about her is, since high school she loves to latch onto my social group and has dated a couple of my friends. It always makes things awkward for me and the friendship inevitably changes. So typically, I refrain from introducing her to my friend group, but since she doesn't really know many people in our city, I invited her to a recent outing with my friends for my birthday. I got a buddy out called Dan, who is somewhat recently single. Unfortunately, his ex cheated on him on a girl's trip and the breakup was awful, and he still has some trust issues from it. I know that Katie and her college ex from a couple years ago broke up because she hooked up with another guy when she visited her friend at another school. She knows how I feel about it and says she feels awful and wishes she could take it back. Well, anyway, at the hangout, Dan and Katie were talking quite a bit and Katie gave him her number. He asked me if it was cool if he asked her out or if that would make things too weird. I basically told him I appreciate him asking, but he doesn't need my permission. That said, I told him about her past because I know how he feels about cheating. That was a deal breaker for him. He started to say some not nice stuff, but then stopped when he realized it was my sister, lol. But needless to say, he lost interest then and there. They ran into each other the other day, and while I wasn't there, I heard it was pretty awkward. I guess she playfully teased him about not texting her yet, and he just gave her an awkward answer about being super busy. She asked me about it, telling me how much she thought they hit it off and everything when I was honest with her about what happened. Dan's one of my good friends, and I felt like I had to give him warning. But Katie got mad. She said a lot of things to me about being a horrible brother and not letting her move on from the past and all that. Since then, been having some second thoughts. Obviously can't take it back, but she does kind of have a point that it was a couple years ago, and she should be able to start fresh with new guys without the past coming up. But in the moment, I was just trying to protect my friend from potential heartbreak. I get both sides, I guess. Was I the a-hole here? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. And bro, just tell her to stop trying to hook up with your friends. Are you kidding? Exactly. They're OP's friends, not disposable, not a menu. How many friendships of hers would he have to ruin before she'd stop introducing him to hers? One? Yes, she would have flipped out after the first girlfriend dumped her as a friend because of her brother's wrongdoings. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. It's not cool for your sister to repeatedly go after your friends. Seriously though, she had no problem finding a random guy to cheat with, so she shouldn't have any problem dating someone who's not her brother's friend. It is not even just one, it's a couple. She most likely doesn't care what happens after they break up because OP has to deal with the aftermath. A conversation needs to be had between them long time ago because she just can't be doing that so casually. I'm not surprised if she does continue to cheat with the way she just keeps dating his friends. She's not the only one at fault though. His friends also choose to date her too, unless OP was fine with it and didn't care. But either way, OP also needs to set boundaries with his friends that his sister is off limits, and tell them her history of dating in his friend group. If they still go after her, then cut them loose. Not the a-hole. People can grow and move on, but it doesn't change the fact that they did it in the first place. If it was a deal breaker when you told him, it was going to be a deal breaker when he inevitably found out. You just save them both a lot of time, lol. Agreed. Being able to move on does not mean everyone has to pretend what happened never happened. It means that you accept that some people will not want to date you, or you may have to work a bit harder to earn trust. Keeping important details about your past is a terrible way to earn trust. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister's boyfriend the truth? My 24 female sister, 21 female, is saying I'm the a-hole for telling her now ex-boyfriend what she has really been doing behind his back. Some context, she has been living with me and my family for a couple of months. She and her boyfriend have been together for 8 months, and it's been kinda rocky to say the least. Soon after she moved in with us, she told me that her and her boyfriend were taking a break which lasted about 2 weeks or so, and during that time she had slept with 2 different guys. She never told her boyfriend about it. A couple weeks after they ended the break, I noticed she was talking and playing video games a lot with a guy she met on Snap. He was in another state, so there's no physical contact, but I could tell there was an emotional connection between them. Her boyfriend found out about this and questioned her, but she always told him that they were just gaming buddies. I heard him constantly telling her how beautiful she is and how he would take care of her. Soon, she was telling me that she was going to end things with her boyfriend, but she was going to get this gift from him first. It was a fancy water bottle or something. This is where I may be the a-hole. One day, when I knew she was going to be out of the house, I called her boyfriend and told him everything she had been lying about, and about her wanting to break up with him. He called her immediately after, calling her out on her lies and ended the relationship. Almost instantly, I was getting calls and messages from her and other family members, saying I was an a-hole for sticking my nose in their business. I fully believe I did the right thing, and I know if I was in his shoes, I'd want to know too. So am I the a-hole? Edit, to clear some things up, I did speak to her before going behind her back several times. Yet, she continued to treat it like a game. I'm not trying to get back at her or make myself feel better. Instead, I put myself in her ex's shoes and I know if I was in his position, I'd want to know. Not the a-hole. You saved her boyfriend years of heartache if you were to stay together with that thing. Good on you for telling him. I, for one, would want someone to tell me, especially if it's coming from her sister/family member. Ignore the people calling you jealous and asking why you would do something like that. They're all cheater sympathizers. The ones who are jealous are just cheaters. LMAO. Agreed. Not the a-hole. You did the right thing by telling him. You would have been more hurt to know you were aware and chose to not tell him because she's your sister. I am speaking from experience. In the last few months of my relationship with my ex, he was cheating on me with another girl. At that time, they were in different countries, so nothing physical happened. But they were already in a relationship and planning their future, like things they want to do when they meet, meeting each other's families, etc. That spineless coward did not even have the decency to end it with me first, after being in a relationship with me for 6 years. He was waiting for me to end it, as our relationship was already very rocky at that time due to family issues. We were from different religions. Our families were not on board, and his family wanted me to convert to their religion, which I was completely against. After we broke up, we agreed to be roommates for a little while till one of us could find a separate place. We were new in the city and did not know anyone else yet. I found out about his new relationship by accident. One day, 2 months after we broke up, I walked into his room to ask him something that he didn't hear me calling from the outside. He was on a video chat with his girl. I immediately felt uncomfortable and left. Then he disclosed that he's seeing someone new. Not gonna lie, I was hurt, but put up a brave face at that moment. But one detail he shared made me start to question things. He mentioned they're planning to visit each other's families when they meet. Knowing him, he would never do that unless he was very sure about someone. Some poking and prodding later, he divulged he had been talking to her even before we broke up. He didn't clarify, but I was able to conclude this continued for at least 6 months while we were still together. My heart was shattered, even more so when I found out all his close friends knew and no one bothered to tell me. When I questioned them, their excuse was, well, you know how he's so private about everything in his life and does not want anyone to talk about his personal life. I used to consider them my friends as well, but not anymore. We are still in touch, wish each other's on birthdays, etc., but I keep them at an arm's length. I felt betrayed from all fronts, and it took me a very long time to get over that. So, I would have greatly appreciated it if one of his friends had told me about this, so I didn't waste months of time with him. Next story. Would I be the a-hole if I told my younger sister's fiancé that she lied about my older sister when they met? My older sister Kay, female 32, my younger sister Jay, female 28, my younger sister's fiancé Matt, male 32. Kay and Matt met at work about 2.5 to 3 years ago. He was hired in as a consultant at her company on a few months assignment. They became close, but nothing happened because they probably didn't think it was professional. I think both, or I know that my sister at least, was hoping that it would develop to something more when his assignment was completed. Kay is a very shy and private person, but even with that, she couldn't stop talking about Matt to Jay and me. When she turned 30, we encouraged her to invite him too, with the rest of her close friends from work. She was very hesitant and panicked at first, but then she thought, yeah, why not? His assignment was almost done anyway. Matt and Jay met at that party. 6 months later, Jay told us that she and Matt are a couple. This devastated Kay, and I knew that, even if she held herself together and pretended to be happy for them. I almost made her confess her heartbreak to me because I couldn't just let her hurt alone without any support. She said that she's angry or disappointed, that after her birthday, he changes towards her and was even a bit angry. Then when he left, he stopped talking to her. Kate said that she probably misinterpreted his interest in her. I know that she's still heartbroken about it. Matt was assigned with her company some more times again, and it was awkward at first, but eventually they were friends again. Now he is a part of the family. Kay never showed that she's hurt. Now I've found out that Jay told Matt that Kay had a boyfriend at that birthday party. Matt is very handsome and lovely, and Jay basically wanted him. Matt was shocked at first because he was hoping for something more, but he probably just thought that he too misinterpreted Kay's interest in him. He is very shy too. After the party, he probably decided to cut his losses and not pursue Kay. Jay, however, kept contacting him, asking him out, be supportive. First, he refused, but then they started dating. How do I know all that? Jay's roommate spilled the beans to me, thinking I knew everything, as I'm closer to Jay than Kay. Matt has now proposed to Jay. I feel sick because I want to tell Matt what happened so he makes an informed decision. Marriage is not a game. At the same time, he and Jay seem to be perfect for each other and the love is genuine. Maybe he was interested in Kay, yes, but obviously it wasn't that deep. Also Kay, I want to tell her, but she seems okay with the relationship too. She made it clear that Matt and Jay obviously meant to be or it wouldn't have happened. But I want to tell. Would I be the a-hole if I told everyone what happened? Now for the top comments. Wow, sister is something. She certainly didn't consider anyone else when she made her decisions back then. I would probably say something so he can make an informed decision, but be prepared for the backlash. The thing is, Jay and Matt are great together. He and Kay are so much alike, yes, both shy and introverted and very calm. But Jay's a social butterfly, and he has even said that she has taken him out of his shell, so I don't know. My only thought is, I would have wanted to know. But if I tell, I'm ready for the backlash. You should tell. Jay stole Matt's choice from him. Everything they have built is based on a lie. She didn't just tell that lie once. She told it repeatedly. She faked sympathy and comfort him. She manufactured the entire origins of their relationship. If Jay has deceived him in this way, I guarantee she has deceived him in others. Her behavior was foul and selfish. She didn't care who she hurt as long as she got what she wanted. How many other times has she hurt him to get what she wants? If their Matt and Jay's love is real, they will get over it. If it's not, and I don't see how it can be when it's built on sand, please let this man have the opportunity to escape before Jay tricks him into marriage. There's zero chance that Matt and Kay would be together, and that is not the point either. I want my big sister's heart to heal and Matt to make an informed decision. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling coworker her kid is why I wouldn't date her? Disclaimer. This isn't one of those anti-dating single moms posts. I'm a single dad and have dated other single parents in the past. I have a coworker, let's call Pam, who I've worked with a couple years now, and she's a lovely woman. She's very pretty, good at her job, and I value her as both a coworker and a friend. She got divorced about a year ago and has started getting back into dating in the last few months. Nothing serious though. I'm widowed and have a 7-year-old. I'm definitely not opposed to dating another single parent, as I have before. Problem is, her kid is honestly unbearable to me. It's hard to say how much is his fault as he does have ODD, and I suspect some other things as well. He's 13 years old but regularly throws tantrums you'd expect of a much younger child. He's been suspended from school multiple times, and she has had to have him come into work with her to keep an eye on him, and he always gets into trouble here as well. As far as non-predators go, he's the worst kid I've ever been around. About a month ago, we were at a work function lately and dating came up and she asked me if I was seeing anybody. I told her no, and she brought up us going out as we get along so well. I gave her the whole "we work together and I don't crap where I eat" thing, and she let it go, but mentioned how a lot of our coworkers met at work and it worked out for them. For what it's worth, we were in different departments, so we work on different floors. So while I see her at work a decent amount, it's not really a working together and seeing each other everyday thing. The last week, the weather has been beautiful, and yesterday management let us all off an hour early to enjoy the weather, and a lot of us went to the place next door. She brought us up again and again. I gave her the same thing. She then pushed and said she doesn't believe me. She asked if I don't like to date other parents, and I told her no, it's not that. She kept pushing, and I was honest that her kid is just too much. Not that I don't think I could handle a tough kid, but I just have no desire to put up with that for a kid who's not mine. From what little I know about ODD, it doesn't seem like a phase, and I'm not signing me and my kid up to deal with that long term. Let's just say she did not take it well and snapped at me about talking about her kid and left shortly after. Today I'm working from home, but feeling a little guilty about it all. Was I an a-hole who should apologize or just let it go? Frankly, her aggressive investigation of why you wouldn't date her was inappropriate in the first place. No one is entitled to an explanation as to why you don't want to date them. You could have refused, but she was so pushy. I don't think she would have accepted it. She's going to think less of you though. It's probably not either her fault nor her son's fault that he's like this. Yeah, I don't blame her for her son. I think it's a brain chemistry thing. It's just not something I would sign myself or my kid up to deal with. Please shoot HR an email about the interaction just to be safe. Yeah, our HR director and president of the company are two of my childhood best friends, so I'm not worried. But I shot the HR guy a note just in case. He's documenting it, but won't bring it up unless she does. She's a good employee overall, and we know she's been through a lot in the last year, so we're not trying to get her in trouble, but we are documenting to cover ourselves in case. That's nice of you to consider. Hopefully she'll let it go. I'm sure in some level she knows it's about her kid. It's hard enough dating with the kids involved, and having extreme circumstances makes it even more challenging. The fact that you're already a parent means that it's important for you to consider your child's well-being and safety in introducing potential permanent people in their life. Please always keep that priority. Her hurt feelings are not your fault, and it might be the reality that she needed to hear out loud from someone. She has a few more years before he's an adult. She can still have a relationship, but should leave her kid out of it, assuming she has a co-parenting partner. It sounds like her child is going to have problems in adulthood. Anyone that dates her has to know about her child. Am I the a-hole for not letting my parents to be involved grandparents because they chose my sister's friend over me? I'm 25, female and pregnant with my first child, and only a few weeks ago, my estranged parents found out about my pregnancy from someone I know back in my hometown. They reached out, so excited to find out they were going to be grandparents and wanting to be involved. But I ignored them and continued ignoring them until 2 days ago, when I replied one time and made it clear they will never know my child or be in our lives, and that I wanted them to stop contacting me. This was all via email, by the way. Let me get into some background. I have an older sister, Sam, 28, and she had a best friend, Luna. Sam and Luna met in pre-K and became fast friends. Luna was over at our house all the time, and eventually she started saying really awful things to me and bullying me. She called me names, mocked me whenever I asked if I could spend time with her and Sam, threw stuff at me when she'd see me, and even made a game out of spitting at me and seeing how many times she could hit me. My parents knew, and they did nothing. But when I was 7, they sat me down and told me that Luna had a bad time at home, and she was mean, but she needed us, and I needed to understand. They said Luna was so important to Sam, and she would grow up into a better person if we didn't abandon her. She used to come along to extended family parties and dinners. I remember one time Mom's side was all meeting up, and because my parents didn't say Luna was coming, we were a chair short for a bit. Luna took the chair and then said there was no room for me at the table, just like there wasn't room for me anywhere, and that I should cry in a corner somewhere. Mom's family was horrified, and I started to cry. I was like 9 by then. My grandparents ended up leaving the table and getting one for just the 3 of us, and they spoiled me while refusing to pay for a single thing Luna consumed. They asked me what was going on too, and I told them everything. Afterward, my parents got so much flack from Mom's side of the family, and my mom's parents contacted my dad's parents, and they were shamed by both sides. When they'd had enough of that, my parents told Sam that Luna needed to come over less or she needed to be nicer. They sort of stuck to that for a while. My grandparents checked in on me weekly to see if my parents were letting that spoiled little madam into the house to abuse me, and I think that was the deterrent for my parents. But then when I was 12, my parents let Luna move in with us. They said her home situation was worse and she was going to apologize, and we were going to make sure she felt wanted and welcome with us. I got a sorry, I guess, from her, but I could hear her making fun of me to Sam whenever me or my parents weren't around. She'd laugh about how I looked betrayed when my parents told me she was moving in. She found it hilarious. I think you can see whose side Sam was always on. I lived like that for a little over a year before it got to be too much, and I told my grandparents Luna was living with us. They went ballistic on my parents, and after weeks or months of fighting about it, my grandparents insisted I was going to move in with them. My parents protested against it, but my grandparents said they couldn't be trusted to take care of me. My parents wouldn't kick out Luna for me. So yeah, I lived with my grandparents for the rest of that time, and I actually live in the same neighborhood as them with my partner now. I actually had zero contact once I moved in with my grandparents. These emails were the first contact in more than a decade. My parents keep replying to that one email. I got like 4 within a few minutes about an hour after I sent it, and they're telling me I'm taking this too far and that Luna isn't even in the picture anymore. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Well, the consequence train is right on time, isn't it? Yes, Sam took the kicking after you left. What is the saying? F around and find out? Your parents have, and you get to live a happy life without them. There is a sense of justice in OP being able to live a happy life, while the parents have to live with the consequences of their actions. Your child deserves a safe and loving environment. The way your parents dismissed your suffering shows they are not trustworthy when it comes to protecting a child's well-being. Even if Luna is no longer in the picture, their past actions prove that they put others before you, and there's no guarantee they wouldn't repeat that pattern. You're breaking the cycle and making sure your child grows up surrounded by people who genuinely care. That is a strong and admirable choice. They said Luna isn't even in the picture anymore. This is the part that rips my heart out. Luna isn't even around anymore, and they still didn't contact you? That's effed up. No contact forever. Guess they didn't want to admit they abandoned their daughter and peeved off both sides of the family for nothing. Unbelievable. True. They faced backlash from both sides of the family. They likely want to avoid further social condemnation. They tried giving my grandparents grief for involving my other grandparents too, but my grandparents dealt with that swiftly. I'm curious though, what happened to Luna and why isn't she in the picture anymore? Your parents had time to contact you before now. I have no idea what happened to her. I'm not even sure if they still talk to my sister or not. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not making the truth sound nicer in family therapy and standing by what I said? My mom died when I, 17 male, was 4. My dad sent me to live with his parents immediately after. He said he couldn't cope without mom and wanted me to have a stable life. I still saw him and stuff, but he wasn't raising me. That was left to my grandparents. They encouraged him to see me as much as he could, and he'd try to swing by at least once a week. But that didn't always happen. It was really awkward, and I remember being kind of sad about it for a year or more. Then it just became my new normal. When I was 8, my dad announced he was moving and wasn't sure when he'd come back. I didn't see him for more than 2 years, and when he moved back, he wanted me back. I was 10 by then. He was a stranger to me, so I didn't want to live with him, and my grandparents didn't want me to be taken back like that. Dad told them it was fine because he met someone and we'd all move in together in a few months. They said that was even more reason for me to stay because I wouldn't adjust well to random people living with me. He said they weren't random. I was about to have a new mom and brother. They asked if he had a kid with someone, and he said no. His fiancée had a kid already, but he was going to raise him as his own. My dad started a court battle with my grandparents when his wife moved to town to live with him. They weren't married yet. Dad said he'd been patient, but didn't like that they were keeping me from him. I told him I didn't want to live with him, but he ignored me. After months of fighting in court and me talking to people from the court, my dad won. It took almost a year, and I was nearly 12. I was forced to live with him, his wife, her son, and their baby. My dad acted like I'd never lived apart from him, and his wife acted like she was my mom. She told me what to do, like play more sports, spend less time with friends she didn't like, and spend time with my brother. She expected me to help around the house and help her specifically. She said it was good for us to make up for lost time. I had to sit with her while she cooked, and she'd give me consequences if I had an attitude. Anytime I said she wasn't my mom, she gave me more consequences. I had stopped calling my dad years before he took custody, and he tried to change that when I moved in. He told me I had a mom, a dad, a brother, and a sister, and that using names instead of family titles was wrong. I told him they weren't really my family. He spent time trying to convince me otherwise and told me to be more open-minded. I never called him dad again. I'm only using it here for clarity. And I never called his wife mom or the kids my siblings. I never wanted to be part of their family, and it started to impact my grades. My grandparents used that and some other things to fight for custody again when I was 15. They were denied at first, but it became a bigger fight. I had to talk to a therapist, someone from the court system, a guardian ad litem, and another children's advocate, not the gal. After a lot of discussion about what was best for me, and me studying how to speak more maturely so a judge would actually listen, I was allowed to move back in with my grandparents. The judge also ordered me to attend family therapy with my dad until I turned 18. That was almost a year ago, when I was 16. I don't really take the therapy sessions seriously, and I take them even less seriously after my dad went back to court to get his wife included in the sessions, which the judge allowed. So now I have to see both of them once a week for an hour. I usually don't say anything in therapy. I don't like the therapist, and I already have my own, so I don't need them. But a few weeks ago, I did speak up because the therapist said everyone needed to be honest at least once, and I might as well say what was really on my mind. So I said I stopped wanting my dad back when I was about 6 or 7, and I never wanted to be part of his family again. I said he wasn't a good dad, and just because he tried, but only after his wife came into his life, didn't mean I was okay with it. I said calling some pushy stranger my mom and pretending I had a new brother was wrong because my real mom died. His wife wasn't going to take her place just because she wanted a perfect family image. I said they tore me away from the home and the people who raised me, just so they could play at being good people. I said a stranger dictated who I could and couldn't be friends with, and what hobbies I should have. I said I was punished for saying she wasn't my mom, when she wasn't. I said they kept bringing up their kids missing me and being hurt, but it was their fault, because my dad ignored me when I said I didn't want to live with them. I said I'd never want a relationship with their kids because blood doesn't make us siblings. It just makes us related. Even the one raised by my dad isn't my sibling, just someone sorta related to me. The more they expect that to change, the more they hurt their kids. My dad didn't see it coming. His wife didn't look surprised, just offended that I basically said she was nothing but a stranger trying to play mommy. I got crap from them and the therapist for not being kinder with the truth. The therapist said I clearly know how to speak with maturity because of how I spoke in court, so I should have said it in a nicer way. After that, I stopped speaking again, but it keeps coming up. Am I the a-hole? They stole you from your family and then punished you for telling the truth. Maybe they're the ones that should have been nice, not the a-hole. My dad still argues they kept me from him too, even though he was the one who gave me to his parents to raise. He's the one who left town and didn't see me for 2 years. He made those choices, but he blames my grandparents instead of looking at how he messed up. I guess he married someone who blindly supported him and had the arrogance to think a 12-year-old would call some stranger mom. I do wonder if he sold himself to his wife, not as a deadbeat who left his child after his first wife died, but as the poor, sad widower who couldn't cope and trusted your grandparents to help, only to be cruelly kept from his child when he was finally ready to step up. Cue the court battles, the attempts to reunite, aka pretend none of it happened and that he's the best dad ever, trademark, and the nonsense in therapy. Your family therapist is a moron. There's no way to sugarcoat the truth, nor do you need to. Your dad is a selfish deadbeat. His wife is a short-sighted twit who thought she could step in and replace your mom, and their whole attempt to act like everything can be fixed with enough fake smiles is just insulting. You lost your dad when you lost your mom, and your grandparents have been your parents ever since. That's the truth. Your dad, his wife, and that awful therapist might not like it, but that doesn't make it any less real. If the therapist tries to get you to speak again, say this: I did speak. I told the truth about what happened and how I feel. My dad, his wife, and you all tried to guilt and shame me for it because I didn't pretty up the ugly truth. I'm not going to engage when none of you want to hear what I really have to say. I do have to ask, though, how awkward are those sessions for you? Is it just the three of them talking at each other? The sessions are awkward. Mostly they're just boring. It's my dad or his wife bringing up everything they want to happen. My dad says my grandparents kept me from him when he was ready to take me back. He says they engaged in parental alienation because I don't call him dad. His wife cries about how I never gave her a chance and how all she wanted was for the kids in their home to feel like they were all their kids and that she shouldn't feel like she had less importance because I was just his. Then they talk about their kids and their feelings. A lot of it gets repeated. Honestly, pretty much all of it. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my brother I'm not taking care of our mom, so put her in a group home? My brother doesn't want to help anyone, but always turns around and asks for help. This is why some of our family members don't like him, and I agree with them. Our mom was on life support some years before she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, so we had to take care of her. Well, I was the only one who did. I won't lie and say I liked it. I was overwhelmed, especially since I had my own family to take care of. None of my siblings wanted to help out, so it was just me. I had to go to all her doctor appointments and pay for her medication. At the time, my husband and I were going through a serious financial crisis, so we couldn't afford to place mom in a group home or nursing home, since that costs money. But now we're back on track financially. This woman treated me like crap my whole life, but funny enough, I became the one to take care of her. Now that I'm no longer doing it, I feel like a huge weight has lifted. My siblings could pitch in, but they're not. The thing is, I won't be taking care of my mom anymore. For weeks, I've been looking at group homes for her, and I found a good one. I'm no longer going to be here because I'm moving to Samoa with my family, and we're staying there. She had to go to a home because my siblings don't want to take care of her or get her help. She's already in the home now and has to get used to her caregivers since I'm leaving in 2 days. I gave my brother a heads up about my plan. When I told him I was putting mom in a home, he got mad. He asked how I could do that to her. He doesn't believe group homes or nursing homes are okay. He didn't think it was right, but he's doing nothing to help, so this is how it's going to be. I told him he can take care of her if he doesn't like it. He was extremely mad. He went off about how he has kids and can't take care of her. I have kids too. I just let him say whatever he wanted. I told him plainly I'm not taking care of her anymore. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. If they don't like it, tough. Either they step up or they can whinge to empty air. Not the a-hole. I went through something very similar. Caregiver burnout is real. It's funny how the relatives who don't do anything to help tend to have the loudest opinions, but they would never lift a finger to help out themselves. Don't let any of them make you feel guilty for what they never even did themselves. Exactly. They're quick to judge, but nowhere to be found when help is needed. Hope he did more than enough. Time for the rest of the family to step up or stay quiet. Our family did the same thing, just in reverse. My father, who lived alone, had a stroke. As I was making the 6-hour drive to the hospital, there was my brother on the phone demanding that I put our father in a care home. My dad was wealthy, a good and decent soul, who had given millions to my brother to start a business. I told my brother that if he wanted to move dad across the country and manage his care, I couldn't stop him since he had power of attorney, but I wouldn't lift a finger to help make that happen. My dad, under my care, regained independent living, changed his POA, and eventually died in his own home. The moral is the same. Both of our brothers wanted what was best for them while expecting others to make it happen. Enjoy your new life.
Am I the a-hole for telling my mother who survived cancer that she's a failure as a parent when she tried to take credit for my accomplishments? My mother has always had issues. And as a parent, she was pretty detached mentally. My parents didn't get married, and I steadily ended up living with my dad full-time. And because she wasn't in my life very much, I hardly ever even referred to my mother as mom. A few years ago, she was diagnosed with early-stage breast cancer and had to have mastectomy. She recovered well, but ever since she was given the bill of clean health, she has started trying to act like a parent who did everything for me my entire life. And she goes out of her way to talk about such things in public, and people were eating it up. Last week, I met up with my mother and several of her friends for lunch because I'd recently landed a small promotion at my job, and my mother was insistent on celebrating. Well, during said lunch, she of course talked about how proud of me she was, and boasting about her boy to her friends, and how she did so much to make sure I was brought up right. I was internally angry because she was lying through her teeth, but I didn't plan on saying anything. But then she started crap-talking my dad, and the things she was saying were outright lies that painted my dad as the absent and neglectful parent. She took credit for several of the major milestones in my life that she didn't even show up for. I ended up getting angry and pointed out she wasn't there for any of those things. She froze and then laughed it off, then tried to say that I was always a jokester. I ended up saying something like, "How would you know whether or not I'm a jokester? You were barely around when I was a kid. You didn't even buy clothes for me to wear. My dad was the one who was really there for me, and I won't let you insult his good name like this to make yourself look good." She ended up crying with her face in her hands, and her friends ganged up on me. They started demanding I apologize, but I refused and said that just because she survived cancer, it doesn't let her rewrite her own history. She was almost never there for me as a kid. She didn't even attend my high school graduation, let alone even remember what year I graduated. She tried to say of course she remembered, but guessed wrong, it was off by 2 years. I called her a liar and a failure as a parent, and said not to contact me again until she's willing to admit the truth and apologize to me and my dad. I then left cash for my part of the bill with a waiter and walked out. My mother's friends were all yelling at me, and I could hear her crying all the way from the street. My maternal grandmother messaged me on Facebook to chew me out, but I said that I wasn't gonna let my mother rewrite history, and she knows full well what really went on. My grandmother said I could have waited to call her out in private, because now many of my mother's friends are questioning her. I said I really didn't care anymore, and stopped messaging. But now that I've had time to cool off, I'm wondering if I took things too far. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. I'm so sorry you've been put in this situation, but you're correct. You don't have to uphold your mother's lies, and you're allowed to tell her how you feel. I think it may be time to limit contact with her though for your own sanity. Exactly. Not the a-hole OP. She has created her own version of history that paints her as the hero and your father as the villain, and she is spreading this lie to make herself feel better. I understand her need to reconnect with you after her brush with cancer. You made a decision to let her back into your life when not many people would have done that after the neglect they faced from that parent. But that doesn't give her carte blanche to distort the truth. She maligned your father in company, so you were well within your rights to call her out on her lies. Don't feel bad about it. In a situation like this, only you can truly know right. But one thing I get, you can sit there listening to the lies and embellishments until she badmouthed your dad who clearly was there. So I'd say not the a-hole. Sorry bro, sad situation. It is sad all around, but you stood up for your dad, which was right. I'm sure your mom has regrets, but is expressing that in all the wrong ways instead of coming to terms with her own behavior. Not the a-hole at all. It's amazing how after a serious medical issue, parents like to rewrite history. The thing is, you tried to sit and let her do it, because you probably didn't want to make a scene. But she just had to go and trash talk your dad. Sounds like she wanted to, "Oh no, your life has been so hard," point. Make it out like she had a hard time raising you by herself, and then after all that and you have been successful, she got cancer. She owes you a massive apology for being absent for most of your life and for the fact that she wanted to show you off as a trophy of her accomplishments after her cancer made her realize she was an awful mother. Next story is titled, "Am I the a-hole for telling my sister to stop projecting her insecurities on other women?" My sister and her husband are going through very public marital issues. To give you the condensed version, basically, my brother-in-law was caught cheating on my sister by my wife during an event she happened to be working at. She's a bartender. My wife immediately told my sister, in private, without telling my brother-in-law that she knew, and my sister proceeded to get very angry with my wife, accusing her of ruining her marriage. This culminated in my sister breaking down and screaming at my wife during a family dinner, calling her a cheap woman who likes to break up marriages and a person with no hobbies. My sister's very public rant about my wife led to my brother-in-law admitting, in front of my family members, that he cheated. This, of course, led to more drama. This all happened a few months ago, and as far as I can tell, my sister and her husband are not going to split up. After this whole situation, I decided to distance myself from my family for a little bit. I thought that my sister needed time to process everything, and I didn't think it was fair to my wife to subject her to my sister's rage. I sent a long text message essentially telling her that I wanted her to sincerely apologize to my wife. My sister apologized, and I thought that it would be the end of that. Then my dad invited my wife and I to celebrate his birthday at his place. I knew that everyone would be there, including my sister and her husband, so I was a bit hesitant to go, but my wife assured me that everything would be alright. To start, everything was going well. My sister practically avoided us, which I didn't mind, and my brother-in-law was glued to her side the entire time, so we didn't really face any drama. Everyone was cordial towards one another, and no one mentioned my brother-in-law's infidelity. At one point, I think my wife asked my brother-in-law to move over so that she could sit down. She's currently on crutches. And when my brother-in-law got her a chair and helped her sit down, my sister got extremely mad at my wife for being too friendly with her man. Her exact words. My wife was confused and explained that she just wanted a seat. But my sister wasn't having any of it. She started full-on yelling at my wife for doing what she always does and ruining other people's relationships. My sister has a loud voice, so literally everyone stopped and looked at her and my wife. My wife looked pretty embarrassed and just muttered a sorry, and even wanted to go stand up. But I butted in and told my sister to stop yelling at my wife and to stop acting extremely insecure in front of other women and go for counseling or something. For whatever reason, my sister ran out the room crying after that, and my wife and I left soon after. My brother-in-law texted an apology on behalf of my sister, but told me that I was a little rude and that I should apologize. My wife thinks that I may have been too harsh. My entire family is split, some saying that I was too mean to her. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Text your brother-in-law back and suggest that if he stops sleeping around, that might also make things better. This, brother-in-law has no right to complain. Sure, but brother-in-law isn't really the problem here. Of course, he's an a-hole, but the best case scenario is that this dumpster fire marriage ends, I'm guessing. Some couples have the emotional maturity and honesty to move past an infidelity, but this one clearly doesn't. So, of the two poorly behaved people in this story, brother-in-law and sister, brother-in-law and his infidelity will one day, God willing, not be OP's problem. I'd honestly ignore him. But his sister and her delusions, insecurity, misogyny, whatever you call it, that will be part of his family dynamic regardless, and that's more important to address. After all, she's not gonna call it on her marriage and be able to work towards being less insane until she's ready to put the blame where it belongs. Your sister is absolutely projecting. Keep standing up for your wife since your sister won't let her. Gonna slip a crutches joke in. Absolutely not stay home. Keep the crutches jokes coming. I love leaving some for my wife. Lol. Not stay home. Your sister is killing the messenger and taking out the anger she should be feeling towards her husband on your wife. She's completely in the wrong. Your sister needs some counseling to help her redirect and refocus the resentment and embarrassment she's feeling and to learn how to move past it. So true. I have no doubt if Opie's wife hadn't told about the cheating and it was discovered that she knew, there would still be fireworks because she kept silent. There is no way to win when dealing with crazy. Next story. Am I the a-hole for getting mad over what my daughter chose after she humiliated me and uninvited me from her engagement dinner party? My daughter, a 30 female, is a successful engineer. She cut contact with me the minute she turned 18 and only began talking 2 years ago. This has obviously hurt me a lot and made a lot of my family members disappointed in her. Nowadays, whenever I have to talk to her, I have to tiptoe around her and not comment on her dresses or makeup or career or lifestyle. Otherwise, she simply reminds me that she can and will stop talking to me, that the only reason why it started being her father's death. I only commented on those things during her teens because she had a lot of potential, and I didn't want it to go waste. It wasn't harsh at all like she claims. Recently, she got engaged to her boyfriend, 31 male of 8 years, and decided to throw a dinner party to her near and dear ones at their own house. She let me invite a couple of my relations. She told me about 5 to 6 people only, but since I've got a lot of people I'd like to share this milestone with, I did go a little overboard in inviting 10 to 13. This clearly was an issue apparently, because the restaurant in their apartment at a poolside allow only 18 to 20 people max at such events, and my relatives were a majority of them, leaving no room for their friends or boyfriend's family. She sat down and made me uninvite everyone instead of giving a simple excuse as to why they couldn't come, and this experience was very humiliating for me. I told her that she was being rude, and she told me that she'd specified how many people from my side were allowed, and that she was very generous that she even let such people to share something joyous with her. After this, she told me not to come to the party and told me to stop ignoring her instructions. I feel disrespected that someone younger made me lose face. It acted as if I didn't know how all these places worked. They would have accommodated worst case. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. You're the a-hole. She stopped talking to you for a reason. To be completely honest, you sound narcissistic. The whole post is about how she's disrespecting you, but it's totally obvious that you are disrespecting her. She gave you a set number of people, and you just didn't follow that. Then told her she was rude because you had to tell your friends they couldn't come. If you invited a number of people she told you to, you wouldn't have had to do that. You shot yourself in the foot and are acting like it was your daughter that did it. You have to take a look at yourself and grow up. OP, you sound like an overbearing mama. It doesn't matter how much potential you think your daughter has. This doesn't mean you are allowed to judge her looks. Judging someone else's looks is not okay. And moreover, we have to love our children because how they are and give them support and love. Nothing else. You're the a-hole. I hope you can see past your narcissistic view that everything you do is good and practice self-reflection. And also, don't count on being invited again. OP is a freaking narcissist. Plain and simple. OP, this event was for your daughter to celebrate her marriage. Yet you found a way to make it about yourself and your feelings. Your daughter set a boundary. She was generous to let you invite 5 to 6 people in my opinion. And you overstepped it. She disinvited you. Basically, you messed around and found out. She isn't rude for having boundaries. It's her day. This isn't about you. Your daughter cut contact with you for a reason. Children don't abandon their parents until they've reached their breaking point. You must have been overbearing for her to decide to go no contact completely once she reached adulthood. You're the a-hole, and a massive one at that. The fact that you threw a tantrum about being disrespected by someone younger shows that you aren't remorseful about what you've done. You're just in need of someone to validate your crappy behavior. I agree with absolutely everything you've said, except the term overbearing. I'm 51 and my mom wants me to leave her house early because she doesn't like me driving at night. That's overbearing in my opinion. OP criticizing her daughter's dress, makeup, career, or lifestyle while she was in vulnerable teenage years, and then completely disregarding her daughter's rules for her party is downright narcissistic. And you factually stated. OP is a major a-hole and it's no wonder why her daughter went no contact. Last story. Am I the a-hole for shredding my daughter's coloring book? I have 3 daughters. Alyssa, 18, Tessa, 16, and Jenna, 14. Alyssa and I have a great relationship. We rarely argue. She drives her sisters around. She works almost full-time while in school. The only problem is she can be unreliable. If you ask her to get groceries and be home by 5, she'll call you at 6:30 and ask what you wanted her to do. And she doesn't do housework without being reminded 5 times. She has ADHD though, so that explains it. Jenna loves to argue. She argues with my husband a few times a week. She's a pretty good kid otherwise. She's a straight-A student. She played soccer and is playing softball, and she helps around the house more than both of her sisters combined. Tessa is complicated. When she applies herself, she gets straight A's extremely easy. The problem is, she never does her homework, so she usually has B's and C's. She and I have similar hobbies, and both my husband and I love talking to her when she's in a good mood. We don't fight often, but when we do, it's very dramatic. She's been insisting that she has ADHD or some other problem since she was around 11 because she can't focus. But my husband and I think she's just trying to get shorter assignments and extra time like Alyssa. We got into an argument the other day because she has IBD and gets infusions every 6 weeks. She is very strict about never pushing it back for any reason. After we tried to push it back once because we were going to be in another state, and she got sick for 6 weeks and 3 days. It was 2 years ago and she's healthier now, but she still refuses to push it back. Her next infusion is scheduled for April 1, but we're going to be on a vacation from March 30 to April 4, so I scheduled her infusion for March 8. Her doctor approved it, but she started yelling at me about how last time I pushed her infusion back, she got sick and she isn't going to risk her health for my vacation. It became a very long and drawn-out argument. When I picked her up from school, she put her headphones on so she wouldn't have to talk to me. Then she locked herself in her room. She had borrowed my laptop, so I looked in her backpack to see if she still had it. While I was looking, I saw passes from the school therapist. Tessa knows I don't want her talking to those therapists because those people will find any reason to call CPS. Tess admitted that she'd been seeing the therapist once a week for 2 years. She wouldn't look up from her coloring book, so I took it. And she started crying and asked me to give it back because her therapist gave it to her for when she was having a bad day. I ended up shredding it, and she hasn't left her room except for school and hasn't spoken since. So I wanted to know if I was the a-hole. You're the a-hole. You neglected your kid. You don't want her to seek help. You are aware her seeking help might get you in trouble. You didn't ask her while making a decision on her health. She is overreacting because she had a bad experience. It is very clear. You ruined a book that was probably calming her. You don't think ADHD or whatever is an issue. With this consistency, you might not have a future relationship with your daughters. I can't imagine ever wanting to have a relationship with someone who intentionally destroyed something artistic I was working on. That's like taking a piece of someone's soul and lighting it on fire. My dad called bullet journaling a waste of time when I was monitoring my medication, symptoms, and overall health from 3 different autoimmune disorders. Haven't been able to pick it up over a year later, and I'm 24. I hate this type of parent. Am I the a-hole for not accommodating my brother-in-law during my birthday dinner and telling him his taste wasn't my priority? I, 26 female, recently had a birthday. Some family and I went out to dinner to celebrate. The guests were me, my husband, my parents, his parents, my 2 brothers and sister, and my husband's brother. So here's the deal. My brother-in-law is weird about eating out. He'll only order a burger or fries and chicken nuggets in a food place, no matter how fancy, no matter how much choice there is. He goes so far as not even looking at menus and places and will ask for nuggets and fries by default, and will be very difficult if a place doesn't have those on the menu. I know this, but I won't accommodate it when it comes to something I'm supposed to enjoy. When my husband and I were discussing the dinner, I told him to let his brother know they didn't do burgers or fries at this place. Cool. He still says he's showing up. The dinner arrives. Everybody's looking at the menu except him. He waits, and when we're all ordering, he asks the server for fries and nuggets. He explains they don't have those, and then my brother-in-law asks about a burger. They don't do those either. He asks if they could make up some fries just for him, and the server explains they can't accommodate those. He starts sulking, and my husband makes apologies and says they'll get the final order to them ASAP. Brother-in-law goes off about how crappy it was that I didn't think of him with dinner, and we should have made sure there was something for him to eat. I pointed out he was told and he chose to come, that it was not my job to accommodate for his pickiness when eating out, and that his taste was not a priority during my birthday dinner. Brother-in-law calls me a selfish a-hole and walks off. My mother-in-law tries to excuse his outburst, that he's just hungry, while my father-in-law can't stop apologizing. My husband confronted his brother after, and his brother said he was still pissed at me. My husband said we were the ones that are pissed and had made a scene during my birthday dinner. Their mom is saying I could have been more accommodating. It is only fair to consider guests when inviting them out. On one hand, I'm annoyed that he acted that way, but on the other, I don't want to cause any trouble between us and my husband's family. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. You left out the best part. How old is brother-in-law? 30. That changes everything. Your 30-year-old brother-in-law still needs his kiddie meal in every restaurant he goes to no matter what. Might as well have stopped at McDonald's and brought his own Happy Meal. Not the a-hole. Their mom is saying I could have been more accommodating, and it's only fair to consider guests when inviting them out. You did accommodate him by informing him ahead of time that those items weren't available on the menu. You didn't have to do that, because checking the menu should be something he does for himself, knowing that he's so picky. He still chose to come, knowing those items weren't available. That's on him. I'm fairly picky myself, and always check the menu before we go someplace new. But I'm not burger, chicken nuggets, and fries only picky. I will wreck some chicken tikka masala and have made it a point to develop my eating habits enough that I can find something off of basically any culture's menu that I can at least nibble on. OP is super not the a-hole. I don't care if your brother-in-law is 6 or 36. This is the dumbest thing I've read. Not the a-hole in any way, shape, or form. Even your husband warning him is hilarious. Your mother-in-law excusing his behavior is hilarious. You're clearly not that a-hole. What a bizarre and embarrassing situation. The family's let this little turd get away with things for too long if they're cuddling him like that. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to allow ex's boyfriend to come to our little Father's Day get-together? Don't know why I, 27 male, should even be asking, but here I am because seems people think I am. My ex and I have a son together. Or more like she birthed our son and I care for him because she hasn't been part of his life at all. Before this, back when we were just friends, she had a boyfriend. They broke up. She was looking for a rebound and we were hooking up for a few weeks. They got back together. She got pregnant. And for 9 months, there was a big question mark for who the dad was. We waited till after she gave birth to find out which one of us it was. During the pregnancy, she changed her mind about being involved and was thinking about adoption. He supported whatever she decided as far as I know. I didn't want to give up my son though after finding out his mine. So we agreed I'd get full custody and she wouldn't be involved except for paying child support, which I don't really use but put that away for him in case it's needed. For the last 7 months of my son's life, her boyfriend has tried reaching out offering to babysit. Take him off my hands. I declined because I didn't need his help. And it's just weird considering he's still with my ex. His insistence has gotten to where I've needed to tell him to back off and let me have my life with my kid. He's not gonna become part of it, and better to just not have contact. He has apologized and all, but then I hear back a couple months later as if nothing happened. Was having like a little barbecue thing for Father's Day at my place. For my friends, my parents, and other family. One friend in particular told him about it and he wanted to come over. A friend gave him a ride to my place and everything. I asked them both to leave right away when they were outside my building. He was just saying he wanted to see my son. And considering that we were both on the same boat a few months ago thinking we were both fathers, it kind of made sense to celebrate Father's Day with my son. But I told him the difference there was that I turned out to be the father and he wasn't. So it really doesn't make sense for him to take part in my barbecue with my family at all. The fact that my friend did this pissed me off so much, so didn't let either of them come. Once they left, I was retelling some of my friends what happened. But they think I'm an a-hole for kicking him out when he was already here, and wouldn't have been a problem letting him hang around. But for me, I don't want him thinking it's okay, or that it means he can be part of our lives in any way. And that was my main reason for shutting that down. It's super weird to me, so that's why I made them leave. But was I an a-hole for doing it? Not an a-hole. He thought he could celebrate Father's Day with you and your kid at a private barbecue because he was almost a father? No, that doesn't make sense. And the friend is also the a-hole. Yeah, that's weird. I get that the boyfriend was probably excited about the prospect and disappointed that he wasn't the father. But that has nothing to do with Opie or his barbecue. I think the boyfriend is not the a-hole, but the child's mother, the ex, is for not stepping in to stop her boyfriend from trampling Opie's boundaries. Not the a-hole, Opie. 100% not the a-hole. As a single mom with trust issues, this is all sorts of red flags. He was cool with giving the baby up when he thought it was his. Now he knows it isn't his and suddenly wants contact? This is creepy as hell. Is there a custody order in place? I'm assuming there is. If not, you need to file for one immediately for full physical and legal custody. If if you already have one in place, I will immediately move to telling him that if he continues to try and pursue any type of custody of your child, that you're filing a restraining order. As for your friend that completely disrespected you by bringing some random to your home, I would remind them whose home that is, and tell him he's not allowed to invite anyone without your permission ever. This is a no-brainer in basic decency. Basically, everyone sucks here except for you, Opie. As soon as he started talking about taking kid off your hands, I noped the hell out. Personally, I'd be looking into a no-contact order or whatever the correct legal term for it is, cause this is sketchy AF. Not a-hole. What was he thinking? It was completely inappropriate for him to come to your house. I would have kicked him out immediately. Really, I don't know. Not sure if maybe my friend made him think it would be okay or what. Like, I've made it clear for months he's not going to be around. Now, for the next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to pay for my friend's expensive dress which I ruined while I was drunk? I don't drink alcohol at all. No health reasons. I just choose not to since me drinking has resulted in a lot of very impulsive, very bad decisions in the past, so I haven't had a drop for 3 years. My friends know this, and they also know the reason. Now, one of my childhood friends is getting married, and on her bachelorette party, I specifically requested that I only be served virgin cocktails. Nobody objected, and my friend said she covered it with our waiters. Turns out she didn't, and she specifically chose drinks where the juice and energy drink would mask the taste of alcohol. After the 4th round, I realized I'm pretty well buzzed, and she fessed up, saying she just wanted me to be my old fun self for one night. Sadly, my old fun self decided this was reason enough to be impulsive again, and I emptied my red-colored drink on her expensive white dress, which is now ruined. Now, I'm uninvited from the wedding until I apologize and pay for her dress. Since I'm always the one saying that being drunk is never an excuse for your own bad decisions, which is true, and yes, ruining her dress was a heavy overreaction. But since she took the decision of not getting drunk out of my hands, I really don't feel this applies in this situation. All our friends are on her side. Am I the a-hole if I don't pay and just skip the wedding? Edit. The dress in question is not her wedding dress. It's a white cocktail dress that cost her around $200 as I was informed afterwards. Yes, expensive is relative. This is expensive to us. Now for the comments. Not a-hole. I strongly believe that if you choose to drink, you are responsible for the consequences. She removed your ability to choose, so has to deal with the consequences of her decision. This, not a-hole. This is the simplest and most concise way to think about it. Like you, I'm not the one to excuse what people do when drunk as though they aren't responsible for their own actions. But in this case, your anger was completely justified. It may have been a little crappy to ruin her dress, but it's not at all on the level of intentionally spiking you with something you specifically told her you didn't want in your body. She violated your consent, and she's the one who should apologize. If you get that apology and feel like it, sure, you could apologize about the dress. But to apologize first would be to concede that her dress is somehow more important than your bodily autonomy, which it is not. I'd suggest not going to the wedding, and maybe not being her friend at all if she can't see she's in the wrong here. Sounds like your other friends are just as bad. Not at a-hole. If this was some random guy giving her drinks with alcohol in them without her consent, then the police would have been called. So she drugged you. Not at a-hole. Yeah, seriously. I'd be so upset with this person for doing that. That's so messed up to spike someone like that. Was it an overreaction? Maybe. Did she deserve it? Absolutely. She violated your consent. I'm voting not at a-hole. And if I'm wrong and you are the a-hole, you are the completely justified a-hole. The a-hole the world sometimes needs. If this destroys the friendship, remember this. She destroyed it when she violated your consent, not when you got alcohol all over her. Last story. Am I the a-hole for being honest with my sister-in-law about why we never host family meals with her family? My husband and I have been together since high school. Married straight out, and we have 3 children together with another on the way. I have known his family a long time. I get along really well with them for the most part. But I will be honest that we have not hosted a family dinner with his family in a very long time. Our reason for this is simple. How much my sister-in-law's oldest two children, 11 and 9, eat. These kids have huge appetites. We're talking 3 pieces of chicken with a roast dinner, 2 or 3 helpings of roast potatoes, extra veggies, extra gravy. Between them, they could easily scoff what our household would eat in one meal. They are active, very sporty, and we know this lends itself to it. But it gets expensive, and my sister-in-law and the kids gets pissy when someone doesn't allow them multiple helpings. We have seen issues with her and another sister when the sister said no to thirds for the kids. And if you leave the food on the table for people to take what they want, the kids leave so little for anyone. My other sister-in-law admitted she needs to spend an extra $20 in extra food just for them, and that she struggles to prepare enough food. So my husband and I made a decision that we would not put ourselves in that position. He considered asking her to bring extra food for her kids, but other sister-in-law suggested that before and sister-in-law was pissed. Anyway, my sister-in-law made a few comments about us not hosting before. How we owed everyone some really good dinner. Then a couple of weeks ago, she asked me directly why we never host. I admit I kind of evaded the question with her then. But she brought it up again a few days later, and I was honest. I told her I did not feel we could keep up or afford to accommodate her older two's appetites, and we knew she felt like it was on the host to provide enough. So we simply didn't. She was pissed. At me and at my husband. She told me I was so rude to say that to her. That I should not blame her kids for our refusal to feed a family. Other sister-in-laws backing me up, and so is my husband. My husband's brother is on sister-in-law's side, and said it's only fair to do it for family and don't ever blame the kids for adult choices. Am I the a-hole? Info. How often was this happening? I have family over maybe once or twice a year, so the idea of an extra $20 expense so infrequently would seem a bit silly to complain about. So I'm assuming your meals are occurring much more frequently? Maybe that's the actual problem. Would it still be a burden to feed these children if they were coming by once every 6 months? I think that also depends on the expectations of what's being served too. Because my sister-in-law insisting that it's time they hosted a nice dinner for everyone, that could easily run up to several hundred to feed a large group of people, let alone making sure that there are several extra servings for these kids. If we go off the assumption that they want a chicken roast to be served, I'm using this as the example since it's the one Opie gave, we'd need 1 chicken just for those 2 kids, as well as a whole platter of everything else for them. That could easily double or triple the budget, depending on where Opie shops and what they're expected to make. 1 roast chicken can easily serve 4 people dinner. It's not like whole chickens are cheap. Info. How often does sister-in-law host you? Sister-in-law has hosted 3 or 4 times since Opie and her husband got married, which I'm guessing is a long time ago. Ding ding ding! If her family eats more, then there's an argument that you should have to host less. But the argument that she should always have to host, so she's spending money on you and you never reciprocate, hardly seems fair. Exactly this. And why can't menus be changed to be more economical? Why have a roast and chicken? Since when are potatoes backbreakers? Yes, I understand even potatoes can be expensive for some people. They are not expensive compared to a roast. Extra gravy? That's just nitpicking. Not a-hole. I think it's time to stop hosting family dinners and have a potluck instead, if our kids have ferocious appetites. This would work with reasonable people, but I've watched people like the sister-in-law bring a bag of chips or some rolls and consider it a fair trade when their household polishes off multiple trays of food. Not a-hole. It's not so much how much they're eating, but that they take most of the food and don't leave enough for other people. That's just poor manners. This. Sister-in-law needs to feed her little garbage disposals at home before taking them to a meal at someone's house. Yes, I've done it. Had an active teenager who sort of runs for fun and could eat his weight in pasta every day. You do what you gotta do.